Hello everyone, welcome. It's Alisha Brasher here at Cosmic Gateway. I have a little bit of a December energy update report, and also I'm going to go into the intuitive guidance insights for December. So I'll try and organize timestamps. So I hope that you get comfortable, get a cup of tea or a coffee or something to drink. I've got a whole stack of notes to go through because I've been getting a lot of information, a lot of downloads that have been coming through in sort of the lead up to recording this video. So I've tried to do it several times, and then obviously more insights and information come through. So I hope that everyone's doing well out there. I know there's a big mixed bag of energies, but I'm going to try and break it down and give the best interpretation that I can of what I've been observing. So I think where we're at in the collective field, what I've been observing has been a massive collective timeline shift that's been in progress. Probably the buildup has been, I can kind of estimate it in about 3 or 4 months, leading up to what occurred as we moved through the late part of November. And I'll break down a little bit more about the observations around that. But I think I have to laugh because I feel like I slept through November. There was just so much fatigue, and I think there was so much happening on the higher dimensional planes and the lower dimensional planes. And I think there was a lot of work that we do in our sleep state. So I feel like throughout the whole month of November, there was just a lot of fatigue and a lot of fixing and altering timelines as I understand it. So as we went through, and this completely took me by surprise, it wasn't something I was expecting, but it came through on the 22nd. I had posted about these things. There was a massive energy that started to come through, and I know I had been awake the night prior. I couldn't sleep, so I know when high energy comes in, that often is because, it gives that impact or that effect where I can't necessarily sleep. And I'm sure that a lot of you watching may feel the same way. And as the energy came through, I could feel it vibrating in my body, and I haven't felt strong energy like that in years. So I went and laid down. I knew at that point I could feel it coming through my eyes. And what I was being shown was that there was a big, massive collective timeline shift that a lot of people had been working on. And this dates back to the end of 2019. So going back, and I've been sort of re-examining a lot of the timelines going back and forth and working it all out. But I think I might even jump back a little bit further than that, because I think we went through a couple of them, 2016, 17, 18. 2018 feels quite significant. And I remember in the later part of 2018, I was having a lot of vivid visions around ancient Egypt. And I didn't understand it entirely at that time, but it was showing me the corrupted timeline. So, a lot of people have different connections with ancient Egypt. Some people really like it. Some people really don't like it. And I see it as a lot of gold energy. And I think that there was a higher civilization that was built around that time. And I do feel like that was where a lot of the inversion and destruction occurred that is playing out today on our on a global scale, on the world stage. And so it was around that time that I started to detect these snake astral beings, and that they sort of manipulate and distort reality. And I remember going through so many sessions of so many people who were impacted by them. And what was occurring was that it would bring in a very wonky, distorted energy that would bring in a lot of rage, like what I call ancient rage, anger, outbursts, a lot of projection, a lot of hurt and wounding. And it felt like these astral snake entities were exacerbating whatever was like a core wound within the person. So it worked in a productive way, but it was very highlighted or emphasized. And I think that carried on for a pocket of time. It always goes in waves. I'm trying to recall timelines because every time feels very malleable at the moment. But And then sort of fast forward to the end of 2019, I remember being outside one night and all of a sudden I felt something bite me. Now, when I say that, it wasn't physically, it was energetically, and it felt like it came through my lungs. Interesting, because of what proceeded in 2020. And all of a sudden I felt very unwell and I had to go and lay down. And I ran a fever that night. And there was a lot of very vivid dreams, visions, and experiences. And I ran such a hot fever that my whole body was internally burning. And I heard very clearly, you're now clearing karmic timelines. And I started seeing more images of ancient Egypt. And so what happened at that time, there was a lot of momentum and there was a lot of optimism that was occurring. A lot of people could feel into this very heightened, beautiful energy that was sort of coming in. And it was at that point that I feel like the timeline shifted, and it happened quite dramatically. Around that time, so many people went separate ways. A lot of people disconnected, a lot of relationships ended. And it was a very confusing time. And then obviously we moved into what I like to call the global initiation of 2020 that begun. And so I think what was playing out in the ways that I understand and interpreted it was that we were trying to clear those who were connected to that timeline, trying to clear this distorted timeline or overlay that was occurring from that time till now. And that ties into Hollywood, that ties into political systems, government structures, all that sort of thing. So I think that a lot of us have been diligently working on that over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. Now, I'll add in there, because not everyone is intrinsically connected to ancient Egypt. I think a very similar timeline has been playing out with Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis. So I think it's whatever your soul is connected to in terms of your soul's experience, and whichever ancient civilization you were a greater part of. I think I think we've all been proactively through our own experiences working through those timelines. And so when the energy came in, this is on the night of the 22nd, I went into a very lucid state, which hasn't occurred for probably since 2018. And I was getting a lot of very vivid images and information coming through. And what I was being shown was that timeline now has been cleaned up, and we've collectively moved into a new trajectory of almost picking up where some of us were feeling into back in 2019. And it's like we've gone into this descent of working through a lot of really harsh density over the last 3 years. So I know that probably not everyone has sort of come fully back up. And what I've been shown is that there's a lot of different realities playing out right now. It's sort of like being given to me in an image of like a holographic, if you can imagine, like in the centerpiece is like New Earth, like a very vibrant energy of Earth in this beautiful frequency. And then circling and surrounding that is, another, let's say, 5 or 7 different spheres of Earth timeline. And I feel like what's happened now is that a lot of people have split off and broken into these other spheres, different pockets of reality. So, when we talk about the timeline shift of the 2 Earths splitting, the old and the new Earth, I think it's actually more complex than that. I think that there is, probably multiple simultaneous realities that are occurring. And it's almost like they're circling around each other, and they're trying to compact and come into one. And it's like each different pocket of the collective have gone into whichever version of reality is necessary to facilitate their experience, their initiations, their inner workings, to be able to come back into that wholeness. So that's sort of, I hope you can follow along with me. That was sort of the vision that I was given. So what really interesting things happened after that was that I then got in contact with about 3 or 4 different people that I hadn't spoken to until since the end of 2019. And they all contacted me and said, did you feel that? Did you, and so we sort of had a conversation to talk around what actually occurred and how we were all picking up on very similar information. So I always like that when you go through an experience and then you have that sort of validation of people who've gone through something similar. So that's my understanding of it. So obviously that energy is anchored, but I don't think the timeline is fully set in, because I still feel the energy that's quite wonky. And I think one of the symptoms or effects that occurs around that is that if we're all of a sudden gone on to a different pocket of reality, it can make it very hard interacting with people who are in different realities. And I've noticed this when I've gone out into the shops, just gone down to the street or gone to the supermarket. There's this very, very sensitive line of where there's different versions of reality playing out that you can feel into other people's reality. And it feels very harsh. It feels very, the words that come to me is it's almost like an assault on your energy field or your body. It feels very impacted in that way. So that can create this, when you're trying to interact with people who are playing out in different versions or pockets of reality, there can be this friction that occurs. And it feels very uncomfortable in your being. And then it can create these sort of conflicts. And it's like, and I was having a conversation with a client yesterday about how you can go through different friendship circles and then all of a sudden there's a timeline shift that occurs. And there's like a lot of, arguing and conflict. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you do or say, you can't seem to connect because there's this buffer field of working in different pockets of reality. And I think that that's exactly how it's meant to be for now. It doesn't always stay that way, but it rotates and comes back around again. Just like I was explaining with the 2019, there was clients and people that I hadn't spoken to since that time, and it was like they dropped off my own frequency radar. And then as we've kind of integrated and come back into a similar timeline, you reconnect. So it's been a really fascinating thing just to observe and watch. I've sort of been in my writer's cave, so I'm observing all these things from afar. And I think the writing process for me, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but I've been working on writing actually a couple of books. And as I've been writing, I feel like I've been going back to a lot of these old timelines. I was talking about 2017, 18, 19, and it feels like it's given me an opportunity to reevaluate, to heal, to be able to have better insight and understanding of how things unfolded. And it's almost like energetically what has occurred is there's been this healing or integration of that. So I highly recommend to anyone who feels like they have a story within them or a book within them, get writing, because the energetic impact that it can have on your own ascension process is utterly profound. So I was hoping to have that published by the end of the year, but I actually think it's going to take a little bit extra time because so much more new information has come through. It's kind of sent me down a big research rabbit hole. And I'm kind of really enjoying the process of getting the intuitive information and then being able to validate it through information. So that was one aspect. The other one that I wanted to talk about was going back and talking about these snake beings, these astral beings. Now, they've also been really prevalent. I've had a lot of reflection over this year, and they've been very prevalent this year, and they create a very distorted energy. It can come through as feeling manipulative. It kind of distorts the timeline and the perception of reality. And I've noticed I've been having a lot of dream recall, but dream information. And I find that that's when my higher self is giving me information when I start to wake up. And I woke up a couple of weeks ago hearing that what is occurring is, as we're going into astral state, as we're going into sleep or working in the realms, as we start to come back through and wake up, there's a lot of this astral distorted frequency or entities or attachments that are coming through our energy field. So when we wake up, we can feel very disoriented, but have a lot of real heavy anger energy. And it's very mental. And I think that really ties into the Mars in Gemini in retrograde. And I think that, you know, that energy is very prevalent and heightened as well. So it's just to be aware of that and just to clear your energy field as you wake up if you're feeling like that, because then it can really manipulate your perception and vision. And also it can change your whole day, you know, your whole sort of timeline temporarily. It's not I don't want to be, you know, fear mongering, but that's just some of the insights and information that has come through. So I'm just looking at my notes, making sure that I don't forget anything. So there's a great importance to stay focused on this energy and this timeline that we're going through this very tight passage. And I think it's going to sort of come into a culmination point as, you know, 12/12 gateway and then December solstice. So on 12/12 gateway, I will be hosting another soul journey, which is going to be on Zoom. This one is a body soul alignment, which I'm going to be journeying and taking people down into inner earth for this kind of clearing out a lot of this debris and density that we've been holding while we've been on these denser timelines going through this global initiation, just to help people reorient their energy center to come back up so that moving into 2023, we can have a much more clearer energy and a clearer vision. So if you would like to join me, I'll put the details in the description box below. I may be doing hosting another online event December solstice, but I'll have more details of that in a few weeks to come. So, you know, moving into these, I think it's really important that we get our energy very clear, our energy cleaned up. And I think what comes along with that is, you know, a lot of big tests and initiations, especially when these timeline shifts occur. So it's like being aware of the simulation that may be presented to us and really bringing it back to us. And what is that giving us? What opportunities is that giving us to grow, to evolve, to clear out perhaps density in our energy field that has been held from past situations, and being really diligent with that cleanup. So there's a huge amount of light coming in. And I think that is starting to come online and become available to a lot of people. So I felt it on the 23rd and then again on the following Wednesday. So it was Wednesday and then Wednesday. So it's sort of coming in increment each week. And so some of the impacts of that is everything may seem a lot lighter, a lot brighter. You might feel the impact behind the eyes, like it's almost like you want to squint because there's a lot of light quotation that is filtering through. What else have I got? Oh, okay. So talking about the timeline shifts. So I was talking about how this big collective one that's been in progress felt like it was building and brewing over a number of months. And I would almost say going back to about 6 months. I remember I was walking one evening and all of a sudden I experienced like a hit of energy that I knew was into December, and it felt very light. It felt very joyful, about a lot of celebration. And so what happens is a portion of our multidimensionality will connect with a future timeline. It will connect with either a vision, an energy. This can come through dreams, meditations, and it's like we link or connect our energy field to that future timeline. And then what we have to do is, to be able to access and anchor that and fully embody that, we have to go through a process of purification. So that could be a purification of our own personal experience, or it could be tied into the collective. Quite often it goes hand in hand, but there's a lot of different timeline threads of reality that are playing out. What else? Okay, the pole shifting. Okay, so I'm sure that most of you have seen a lot of those videos that are running around. I think I shared something on Facebook about the animals going in circles. And I think that that has a lot to do with the magnetic poles that are shifting. I think that's been in progress for many years, but I think it's kind of made, and I think it ties into these timelines too. I think it's all interconnected. But one thing that I've experienced in my actual personal life is that for the last 6 months, I've had a lot of issues with one of my dogs who has been very hypersensitive at nighttime and very, I would say, out of character. This has been off and on for many years, but it exacerbated this year, probably around July, sometime June, July, perhaps. And what would happen was at night, she would be fine during the day. And then at night, there was like this really dense, uncomfortable energy that I would pick up on. It would come through. And as soon as that came, she became hyper aware, hyper anxious and circling. And nothing I could do could console her. It was almost like she was in a trance-like state. And she was just circling. And so I had been doing a lot of work with clients of cleaning up ley lines and doing house clearings and energy clearing, not just on the house, but also on the land. And it dawned on me that that was something that I hadn't done since I moved into my new house. And so I took the opportunity to start to clear the energetic ley lines. So I had this really interesting rise in my floorboards that occurred sometime in the last couple of months. And when I was detecting the different ley lines that were running through the house, I noticed I had a very big clogged up energy, a ley line that was running through the exact point in the house where, and that's often what happens is if there's clogged up energy, it will create a disturbance that will be physically manifested. So after doing that big clearing, ever since then, my dog's completely settled and calm. And exactly a week after, I've had someone come in and fix the house. So it's like you clear the energy, and this works in our own personal vibration as well. You clear the energy and then the physical manifestation will sort of sink into that. So what I understood from that experience is I think as the magnetic poles are shifting, or the energetics, the ley lines are shifting on the planet, it's actually opening up pockets of density and debris that lower level entities and astral beings are actually kind of coming out of portals that are creating a lot of disturbance. This is not always the case, but that's what I found in my home. And by able to clearing that and closing down that portal, it's created a lot more harmony in the home. So I am in the process of feeling the call to put together a program, just a short, probably 1 or 2 day, how to work with ley lines, energy clearing and house clearing, because I think it's something important that everyone should have the ability to do, especially at these times, just to make sure that our environment is clean as well as our personal energy. So I don't have any of the details of that yet. I'm still in the process of putting that together. But if you are interested and you want to learn more about how to clear the ley lines and house for your own personal use, maybe just drop me an email, an expression of interest at cosmicgateway@gmail.com. I'll put the email address in the description box and you can just email me there. And then once I get all that material up and running, you can contact me. I can contact you and we can go ahead. Whew, all right, what else? I think, oh, and the final thing is, I can't remember if I finished talking about the timeline. Oh yeah, I did. Okay. Now there's a lot of pink and gold energy that's coming in. That's, I often read and understand energy in color form. And since the end of November through now, I keep being able to tune into, it's like a very vibrant gold and pink energy. And something told me to go back and re-listen to an old session that I had done last year. In that session, there was a lot of talk about the solar flash event and how that would start to occur in real time. And of course, timelines change and shift, so we don't get set on times. But when I went back and re-listened to that, I realized that a lot of what I was describing in that is now starting to occur real time. And the words that I described in there is there will be an access to a pink and gold energy prior to moving through this more tangible shift. So I know there's a lot of discussion. I know someone mentioned on my Telegram channel about December. And I think December really lays down a foundation for that. I don't think that it's going to, I could be wrong. I don't think it's actually going to occur then, but I feel like there's definitely a build in the momentum and the crescendo. So yeah, it's exciting times, but it's also times to stay kind of in your own lane, making sure that you're diligently working on your own energy, clearing out and cleaning up whatever is still left over, the density that we've held through the last couple of years. It's really been such a testing time for everyone on every level. And I guess it's giving yourself that space to be able to honor what you've been through, that reflection time and that rest and that recuperation. So I think I just want to credit everyone for the work that they've been doing, because this is not obviously something that is independently done. We all work on this as a collective through our own experiences. And I know it's been grueling, it really has. So it's been such a dense couple of years, but I think we're making some really incredible progress. And I guess I just want to commend everyone for the work that they have been doing. All right. Okay. So I'm going to get into the intuitive insights. I feel like I've missed things, but that's all right. I am still doing personal sessions. So if you want to connect with me for a personal session, I will be working off and on throughout of December, January. If you want to connect with me, the details will be in the description box below. Let's go into A, shall we? So this will be card A, if you can see that. And let's get some information. I've got 3 decks here. I've got the Sacred Power Oracle by Anne Stark. I have Bradley Valentine Angel Tarot, and then I also have the Magdalene Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. So I know that people asked me last time what card decks I was using. I sort of just grab any that kind of speak to me and see what wants to come through. So let's get into A, shall we? Let's see what some of the influences, insights, guidance, themes might be for this month of December. Beautiful. Oh, okay. Chills. One more. So we've got the Star card, we've got the King of Fire and the Queen of Water. And then we have the Page of Earth. Oh, beautiful balance. So the first card here, we have the Star. So happy times, make positive, optimistic, long-term plans. You're on the right path. So we've got the Star card. So the Star card in the traditional tarot deck generally comes after the Tower. So we all know about the Tower, that sort of divine disintegration, dissemination. I'm trying to think of the word, sorry. Deconstruction. So it's like absolute chaos that erupts, and then after that it's like this renewed sense of purpose and redirection gets reborn. So it's like coming into that energy and being able to understand what it is that you've been through and the purpose, and understanding why things had to work out the way that they did. So we have the King of Fire, which is focus, 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 communicate with a vision, to be a leader, advice from someone creative. So there may be some new creative projects in the pipeline. You might be you may not be ready yet to birth them into the world, but there may be a lot of different ideas and insights that are coming through. So it may be just a time to really center and bring in a very acute focus on that direction, that energy, and what it is that you want to work on and create. We also have the Queen of Water. So relationships develop to a new level, trust your intuition, and take care of yourself. So we might be moving into more meaningful and purposeful connections, relationships may come into a new light. It may be new existing relationships taking on a new level, or it could be, maybe reconnections from the past that are rejoining. But I think in that, what really highlights to me is being able to nurture and rest and take really good care of yourself. So that real water energy of that empathetic sort of tenderness, loving, being patient, kind, gentle with yourself. So we also have the Page of Earth, good news about financial matters, wanting to do something more challenging and a new area of study. So interesting cards. They sort of, it really is indicative of what I was talking about in the energy update, about sort of coming into a new direction, being able to focus, being more soft and gentle with yourself, looking into possible new projects or collaborations that may bring a lot of success, but being in the infancy stages of that. And we've got little children. Yeah, okay. So the little children card talks about the light-hearted joyfulness that children carry, that innocence, that creative mindset, that not caring so much and not caring so much about what the outside world may perceive, and just being able to be the real you. Beautiful. So the real you is like being able to pull back some of the layers of the perhaps distorted perceptions or versions that you may have held of yourself over time, and being able to get into the core and really reconnecting with who you are as a soul, as an individual, what it is that you have to give, what it is that you have to offer into this world, and making steps, leaps and bounds. You may pull in partnerships or connections that may support that, or it might be a solo journey. It's really about listening into your own intuition and what supports you the most. Whew, okay, a lot of energy coming through. Feels like just want to take a moment before there's exploration card, there's travel. This could be inner world travel into the inner realms, or this could be actually traveling, taking a holiday or vacation, might be just a quick weekend away, but it feels like exploring into pockets of nature to be able to make a stronger connection into that essence of the real you, and coming into that more fully. I'm just going to get one more card. Retreat. Okay, yeah. So definitely the energies of whatever's bubbling in the background, whatever's coming into the surface, into your focus and awareness. It may be that you're connecting into that future timeline, but it's not ready to mature or to act. So it's like, take the time that you need just to develop, to kind of flesh it out, if you will, and then start to work with the energies of it and start to pull that in. And as you do that, take some time for yourself, take some time to rest, recuperate, and go through the inner realms of your own exploration, finding your own inner compass. I'll show those two cards there. Finding your own inner compass that's going to help you bring all that energy and bring that new aspect of you, the new projects, the new revitalizing life force energy back out to the surface. So I hope that that has helped someone out there. It sounds like there's some beautiful times ahead. And let's get into the next reading. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that they might have very similar themes. Let's have a look. I'll put that one down. So the next card will be B. So this one here. I'll just pop that back up there. Okay, actually, I'm going to go with the Magdalene Oracle first. Seems to be the one that, okay. So we've got the Prophet and we've got Miracles. So once again, we've got a lot of yellow energy, a lot of orange and yellow and green. So looking at just from an energetic standpoint, looking at, and the real you, look at that. I knew. So we've got the prophet, miracles, and the real you. So we've got a lot of energy that is really focused around the sacral, solar plexus, and the heart. So this could be looking at clearing out. What I want to say about this is it's like clearing out old patterns, old belief systems, old ways of thinking in relation to your own connection to, it could be ancestrally, mother and father lineage. But it's like, I can feel it in my stomach. There's this churning or like clicking through, trying to refine the old aspects of you so that the new version of you can step forward. But it seems like it's sinking through. So maybe for the first part of December, really sifting through old, outdated, limited belief systems of yourself, and how that old version of you was interacting with the world, and how you can make changes and adjustments to step out into the world in a new way. And with that, bringing a lot of more sort of divine creativity and heart-centered focus, and really bringing in that reminder of who you are, you know, remembering that calling before you incarnated. Who are you? What have you come here to do? How can the real you start to re-emerge into this more universal Christ-like form? And so I feel like it's very much connected to always just slipped out of my head, conversing, dialoguing with the universe, with yourself, with your higher self, to get that guidance, to get that clarity, and a lot of forgiveness too. I feel like there's this churning that sits in the stomach that is really coming back home to yourself and giving yourself space to be able to go into those pockets of forgiveness and forgive others. But ultimately it's through that process it goes into like this reclaiming of who you truly are, and that soul remembrance coming online for you. And it could be fleeting, it could come through just subtle awarenesses or dreams, but it feels strong. So we've got the Queen of Earth, making time for those around you, take a sensible approach, deal with challenges in kind of an understanding manner. So I think that sort of really ties into what I was talking about, is just, I'll just show that card there, making that time for yourself first and foremost, and then from that, allow that new energy to be able to overflow into others, into your connections, into your family, into your personal life. But it feels very internally reflected space for the month, at least for the first portion of December. Got the Three of Earth. So yeah, the power of creativity, recognition for a high quality of work, and being a team player. So a lot of collaborative energy that's sort of unfolding. You may not actually feel or see or witness that until perhaps later in the month, but it does feel like there is people coming in, gathering, connecting, coming together. But it kind of can't happen until you go through this phase of sifting out and shedding the old layers of the old version of yourself that doesn't really serve you or anyone else anymore. So it's like being able to, it could be journaling too. I feel like I just got a glimpse of someone journaling and writing. It could be like a ritual, like a ceremony where you kind of write down all the things that you want to sort of let go of and burn that. And then, you know, write a new okay, interesting. Sorry, I'm being distracted. I'm trying to do too many things at once here. It may be very much around, yeah, writing all the things that you wish to let go of, whether it be circumstances, situations, hardships that you've endured, perhaps from this year, last couple of years, writing it down, allowing it to burn away, almost transmuting that energy. And when the new, on a new piece of paper, write down like what your higher self is trying to give to you, what's coming through for you, what hidden gems are in store, and maybe just keep that in your bedroom under your pillow, or create or keep working with that energy. So the 6 of air also came out. Things are looking up, the end of a difficult situation, and taking a trip. So once again, there's all this there's all this kind of correlating, going on a trip. That's cool. That's awesome. Going on a trip, maybe reconnecting with people that you haven't seen in a long time, or it could be on your own journey. But it's the following card is Ace of Fire. So a new exciting opportunity, career advancement, changing your life now. So you might find, if you spontaneously feel guided to go to a place or go traveling, there may be connection to people that will give you some new opportunities coming in. And then we have the Matrix card. So this actually is my favorite card from this deck. The Matrix card speaks about 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that doesn't really make any sense. You've got all these pieces of the puzzle, but it's like over the coming couple of months, all these pieces of the puzzle start to come in and join and connect. And so there's a bigger picture and purpose that is painted or portrayed to you. And then from that, to me, that also talks about like an energetic recalibration of aspects and pieces of your energy coming back into you. And it's like, as that occurs, it gives you not only more energy, but it gives you this greater perspective of understanding the nature of reality. So it feels like it's a very heightened spiritual time for you. I'm just going to get one more card. Whew. I just keep hearing the word a lot of forgiveness, a lot of self-forgiveness. I'm just going to share, War and Peace. So it's like coming into this sort of inner equilibrium of war and peace. So there might be this internal conflict or struggle or battle where your mind's just sort of going, and that's sort of the Mars and Gemini retrograde energy, this sort of constant back and forth mental energy that's creating this sort of inner conflict. So the War and Peace card talks about, the warring and peaceful aspects that we hold within us and how they want to come into like this fusion, but often they're at loggerheads. So it's the heart and the mind. And it's like sometimes we allow the head to overrule the heart. So it's really allowing yourself to find a space where you can clear out the mind as much as possible and really try and tune into what the heart is sharing with you. That's the soul knowledge. That's the soul wisdom. I'll share one thing that's sort of come back around when I was going through some very harsh energies, or working through some very harsh energies, trying to come into a level of forgiveness. And this was working through energies for the most part of last year, really. And what I was sort of guided and instructed to do was to like feel into my heart and feel like where the fragmented pit, almost like broken glass or needles. And it was like pulling one out one by one and just examining them and looking at them and giving them love, giving them compassion, giving them healing, and helping them dissolve bit by bit, and sort of diligently working on that every day or every evening before I went to bed. And I found that, after a couple of months, I was able to then release that heavy harshness that I was feeling. So that might be really helpful. And I'll just get one more card from the Sacred Power. No, half the deck wants to come out, of course. Personal power. Yeah, it's time for you to step back into your personal power and reclaim it. So going through this inner realm of different aspects that it may be in conflict or in sorry, words just out of my head, in a conflict or in a it feels very counterproductive. It feels as though it is like there's a lot of weighing sifting through back and forth, but it's not actually coming to any sort of conclusions. So I feel like what this energy is doing is sort of trying to rattle out of your system so that you can take steps forward and be able to step into a new version of you, which is like reclaiming your power. So if you feel that your power has been taken away, it's this invitation, this call to be able to stop the inner war and peace, allow them to make friends with one another. And within that, there's great personal power. So I hope that that resonates. I hope that that helps. Wishing you a wonderful December. And I'm just going to go now into the final card C. So this one here, card C, if you've selected that one, let's see what is in store for themes for December. As I'm shuffling, I am going to put the links down below to some of the different products that I have available separate from sessions. I've got quite a large range of jewelry, and some clothing, shoes, different what I call soulful accessories, and I've just changed the pricing on the shipping. So there's an express and there's just a standard shipping, which is a standard $5 shipping fee. It doesn't come with any tracking or insurance, but it is a lower priced shipping. It just takes a little bit of time, that's all. So if you feel guided to go and have a look at some of those items, a lot of them are one-off for the jewelry. They're bits and pieces that I picked up through my travels to different sacred sites around the world. All right, so getting into, feels like there's a stuck energy because the cards just aren't gonna flow. They're not flowing. We do have one, so we've got the 9 of Earth and we got unity. Okay. Interesting. So enjoying life's luxuries, spending quiet time alone, successful self-employment. And then we've got the unity card, which is traditional viewpoints or methods. Spiritual organizations seek out mentors or like-minded friends. So there may be this, yeah, it's almost like I felt like I dropped into a void space there. So you may be feeling as though you're sitting into a void space where nothing is really occurring, nothing's kind of happening. And that's always purposeful, because I feel like in that in between, even though it may feel incredibly uncomfortable at times, it's like creating space for you. It's creating space for what is coming next, that next thing. And it gives you the time to rest, reflect, and go into deep contemplation, which allows new ideas to start to come forth. So it may be that you may be on the verge of self-employment, or working with some sort of creative or spiritual type of project. And so it may require reaching out and having advice from a mentor or someone who can connect in and understand that depth or level. We've got the Strength card, so great inner strength, release the harsh judgments, forgiveness and compassion. So going through this internal void space, or this process of being able to, I almost want to say integrate and come back into wholeness, and give you that strength and that charge forward. We also I'll show you that card there. So we've got the Strength card. We have the Page of Water, which is a new person enters your life, a relationship begins a new phase, heightened psychic abilities. So dealing with a lot of ethereal realm energy there. It can do with personal relationships. So it might mean a relationship going to a new phase or new level, a reconnection from the past. But it could just be with yourself, and it might be going through this in this inner void. Is often where we go into this phase of attuning or refining our own intuitive abilities. So you might be going through this up leveling, this upswing, which requires to be sitting in that void space to allow, just this feeling of refinement to occur. And let's just see. So we've got the sacred power. It's so funny, they just don't want to come out. Come on. I guess another interpretation of the fact that the cards aren't coming out easily is that perhaps this might be asking you to really connect with your own intuition and sort of dull out the voices of others, other people's influences or guidance, and really just trusting and knowing in what your own intuition is telling you at this time. So we've got protection and community. So I want to say with this card here, I feel like there's a lot of past life energy that might be coming through and giving you insight or information into what may be occurring in your life right now. That's sort of what I feel with that. So it may, and we've got the animal kingdom as well. So community, so obviously protection is being very conscientious with your energy while you're going through this phase of integration and coming into more of a realignment and going through that void and just really just clearing out the closet, basically. The community card might be, I don't know, that one gives me a lot of past life imagery. So it may be reflecting on past communities. It might tie into what I was talking about in the energy update of like having awarenesses of old ancient civilizations or communities and how that plays out in your current life today. Community card also talks about building foundations and building strong community around you, but I don't necessarily feel that's the message coming through in this particular reading. And then pay attention to the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom will always give you so many messages and insight and wisdom. So paying attention to the physical animals that are showing up in your life. It might be feathers. It might be hearing different birds calling you and looking into the wisdom. Like the other day I had a wasp buzzing in around my home. So, just looking up the metaphor and the symbology around wasp, and, it's always so accurate. There's a lot of wisdom and medicine that comes through the animal kingdom. So allow that to be part of your guide as you start to navigate through. Oh, okay. These cards just don't want to come through. That's actually hilarious. All right, we got serendipity. So looking for serendipitous events that start to come through. That generally gives a time frame of like 2-3 months. And it's like, it's paying attention to the signs, the synchronicities, and where that's leading you, where that's allowing you to be moved to head to give you more clarity and insights, and paying attention perhaps to the dreams that are coming through and what the guidance is telling you through that, and making those little steps each day towards that guidance, because then they start to increase in velocity and power and magnitude. We also have the gratitude card. So, going through some of those void spaces, it's coming back to the simple practices of like, the power of gratitude and thinking about all the things that you are grateful in your life right now. And that can then start to shift you into a more clearer vibration, just literally bringing your awareness and focus on the gifts and the gratitude, and not focusing on what is lost or has been let go of, but what it is that you're grateful for, the smaller things, the water, you know, the air, the, walking in nature, those sorts of things can really start to bring you back into your center point. I just want to get one more card, but they seem to not want to flow. Intimacy. Okay, that one actually want to pop out in the last reading too. Intimacy talks about our own. It can mean intimate with a partner or another person, but it's about being able to be vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable with yourself, and becoming very real with yourself, and understanding what it is that you like, what you don't like, what serves you, what doesn't serve you, and being able to openly express that or communicate that to people who are important to you, because it allows a deeper level of connection. It allows a deeper level of understanding and a greater strength of bond and unity. So this can be something that you do within yourself, or it could be a strengthening within a partnership. So just allow yourself to be taken to the places of the vulnerable or broken parts of yourself without judgment. And with that, allowing you to come into this like new awareness of yourself, or giving other people this deeper understanding of who you are. And it brings a lot of healing energy through. So I hope that resonates or helps. I'm wishing you a wonderful December. And if you would like a personal session with me, I'll put all the details in the description box below. If you would like to come and join the Inner Earth Soul Journey on 12/12, I would absolutely love for you to join. And all the details will be in the description box below. So sending much love, and I will connect with you in the new year. All right, bye.